Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I have a card featuring Gerda Steiner Designs digital stamps. Recently when I asked my audience what they would like to see more of, they mentioned seeing some colored pencil coloring as an alternative way to color digital stamps. And so I didn't at the time actually own any colored pencils, but decided to try out a set of the Spectrum Noir Colored Pencils because I'd heard that they worked pretty well, especially considering the price. And so I have the Essentials, which I thought would be good because it had some colors that would be good for critters, and most of the time I like to color critters with Gerda Steiner, Nook, and that kind of thing. So I'm going to color this pig from Gerda Steiner Designs. She has a whole bunch of new Valentine digital stamps, and I knew that this coral color family that was included in the Essentials would work out well for him. What I have found out so far about colored pencils, although I'm obviously not an expert since I'm just picking them up now, is that it's important to go from lightest to darkest. And with Copics, a lot of times I'll start with the darker color to save time and then blend out to the lighter color, but that doesn't work as well in my experience with colored pencils and from what I've started researching from others. So I started with the lightest color and put an overall wash all over the pig, blended it out with a blending stump, and then started adding the darker color in the areas where there would be a shadow. And as each time I layer on a new color, I blend it out, see if I like it, then continue to layer on more and more color. I do like that aspect of it that the colored pencil is that it's a little bit easier to put on several layers of color, and you can use pretty much any cardstock with it. You don't have to use as thick or as expensive of cardstock as you would with Copics because they need a lot of paper to soak in all the ink, but with the colored pencils you don't need to worry about that as much, and you don't also have to be as picky about what ink you use. So they seem a little bit more versatile in that sense, but I did find that it was considerably longer to color and blend them out. And I did not use Gamsol yet, though I will be getting some odorless mineral spirits, or Gamsol, the same thing, to try out with the colored pencils as well. So I am also coloring at his hooves with some of the browns available in the set, and then trying out the pinks to color the heart that is with him. Again, going from lightest, blending it out, medium, blending it out, darkest, blending it out. I find that I got the best results from that, and then with the stumps, when I switched to a new color, I either had to switch the blending stump and have a stump for each color family, or you can take a nail file or some sandpaper and just rub off the little bit of the end of the stump so that the color doesn't transfer, because there will be a little bit of color transfer from the stump to your page if there is a different color on the stump. So with the heart, to give it some dimension, and I use the same trick on the pig, is I add darker color towards the outside of an object that I want to look rounded. Like the pig's face, you'll notice that it's darker on both sides to give it a little bit more of a feeling of dimension, where the highlight is what appears to be closest to you, and it gives it that rounded effect. And so I'm applying that same principle as I'm coloring the heart. I also found that with colored pencils, it did take a lot of effort to blend it without the Gamsol, so I don't know if it would be a great idea for somebody who might be like arthritic or their fingers got sore easily, because it does take a lot more effort. When I finished coloring the pig, I fussy cut him out. It was relatively simple to cut him out. There isn't a lot of little fine detail aspects. And then I took a Memento Tuxedo Black dual brush marker and ran it along the edges to make it a little bit more finished. I'm picking out some patterned paper. I decided with this card that I would go back to using some patterned paper instead of doing lots of other techniques, because the colored pencil took quite a while as it was. And this is, like I said, a crepe paper line, so I'm going through and thinking about what patterns the pig looks good with. I want something that's a little more soft and feminine, but not too busy and to overwhelm the pig. And so this pink paper with the strawberries on it is a little bit busy, but I'm going to tone it down with the wood grain and the grid pattern, as well as that scalloped circle, which is just another kind of small, soft pattern. And so blending, or not so much blending, but adding the neutrals in with the bolder pink and also busier pattern paper really helps it to tone it down a little bit and help you focus back on the pig while still being able to have that little bit of interest poking out around the edges of the red there. So I'm going to lay all of this down with some flat adhesive, and I find that it's easier for me, instead of trimming and maybe getting things to be a little bit different in terms of, like, sometimes even though I measure 5.5 on both of them, they're not quite even, so I like to just tape it down and then turn it over and cut it off with my scissors. Once I have the basic layout of the card, as I said, I was going for a more soft and feminine look today, and so I decided to dig into my ribbon and trim stash. You see there that I keep my trims in jars according to their color, so that was my kind of neutral jar there, and I pulled out this lace that is already sticky backed, and I'm going to also be adding some twine with a bow. So once I've this, like I said, this lace is already sticky backed, even though it has those holes in it, and that's why it really attracted me to this particular bit of lace that I think I picked it up at like Michael's or something like that, so I probably won't be able to link to it, but I'll see if I can find something similar. But I liked that you could adhere it easily, because sometimes it can be a little bit more tricky to adhere things like twine and ribbon because of either them being really thin or there being holes, like in the case of that lace trim there. For the twine, what I do is just wrap it around the whole card. It uses more twine, obviously, because there's twine completely covering the back, but it makes it so much easier to work with and manipulate, and so often you can find twine at a great price or on sale, and so and also I have an ever-expanding collection of it, so I don't mind using a little bit more to just make it easier. And I just tied the bow like I would tie shoelaces. I don't worry about it being too complicated or too perfect. Particularly with twine, I think that it's a little bit more forgiving, whereas with the ribbon bow, I tend to fuss more and am picky, and that's why I like twine. And once I have decided where I like the bow in terms of the position on the card, I just turn it over and tape the twine down completely so that it won't shift about. After I have the embellishment there, I decide to go in with my sentiment before I adhere the pig, because I want to make sure that I'm going to have room to fit it. I'm taking this Sophie's Sentiment stamp from Lawn Fawn, and I'm going to use the simple Love You. I didn't really have anywhere on the card that would fit a full Happy Valentine's Day, and also if I didn't stamp Happy Valentine's Day, I could just use this as a general love card because it wasn't too Valentine-y, but still worked great for Valentine's Day because of the pinks and the lace and that kind of thing. So I'm just stamping that with some sepia ink, archival ink as well. I love archival ink for sentiments, and this time I just wanted to make it fit in with the card a little bit more, so I chose to go with the brown instead of the traditional jet black. To finish off the card, I laid the pig down with some foam to give it a little bit of dimension, but also because I wanted to layer him over the lace, and if I had glued it directly down, he would have been kind of lumpy there. And then I'm also taking those hearts that I fussy cut out from the digital image and just kind of spreading them along the sentiment. Then I'll take everything and put it on a note card, and that's it for my card today. If you enjoyed, you can give this video a thumbs up. If you're interested in seeing more crafty videos, you can, especially including Gerda Steiner stamps, you can subscribe to my channel. I'll leave you links to the products and the Gerda Steiner digital stamp in the product description, in the description box below. Thanks for watching. Bye.